a little bit after 1, so let's go ahead and get started with our Friday afternoon webinar, working together with Excel, Word, Access, and PowerPoint. So I have a rather aggressive agenda this afternoon. My name is Julie. I am going to be your facilitator this afternoon. Here's my email address. In case you have any questions going forward, feel free to send me an email if you have a question about something that we discussed this afternoon, or just a question in general concerning the Microsoft Office suite. I'd be happy to answer that for you. I do have the Q&A and the chat open over here on another monitor, so I'll be keeping tabs on that. If you have a question or you want me to go over something again, feel free to just mention that and we'll get that taken care of for you. I was just saying that I can't believe that it's December 18th. We have Christmas in 1 week and 2021 right around the corner. I can't thank the DoSpace enough. I think I started doing these webinars in April, and they've just been so much fun and just a great way to kind of wrap up your week and have fun with all of you that join me on for an hour just talking about different technologies. So thank you. Here's our agenda for today. We're just going to look at Word and Excel and how to create a mail merge. And then we're going to look at Excel and PowerPoint and how you can link graphs. And then we're going to do a little bit with Access and importing and exporting data with Excel. We're going to look at some different links within PowerPoint and how to link files within the Microsoft Office suite. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and first thing I want to pull up is my mail merge letter. So I have a letter all ready to go. Go ahead and bring it over here on the screen so you can see it. And you can see that this is just a template. And in the blank spaces, I have Dear, and I need to fill in a name. This is for a fundraiser. They donated items, so I need to fill that in. The category of the item, how many tickets I'm providing them with to the fundraising event, and so on. So all of this information is right now in a TXT file. And if I go ahead and double click on that, I'll show you what that looks like. So right now this is in a TXT file, and you can import the TXT file into Microsoft Word just fine. I actually prefer using Microsoft Excel, so I'm just going to show you how. Go ahead and open up Excel. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a blank workbook. And on the data ribbon, I'm just going to come over here underneath the group Get and Transform Data. And I'm going to go to Get Data, and you can see that you have several different options. But I'm going to stop here at this first option, From File, and my second option down is from a text file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import this into Microsoft Excel because I think it's just a little bit easier to use. It's a little bit user-friendly. If I want to enter more information, it is very easy to do in Microsoft Excel. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and go to my desktop, and we'll scroll down and find my folder for today. I'm going to go ahead and double click on the merge data. And what it does is it's going to populate another window here for me. And what it just shows me kind of a template of what this is going to look like. And that looks good to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on Transform Data. And it will open into an Excel workbook here in just a second. I've got one more step I need to take. And then I need to come up to in the upper left-hand corner and click on Close and Load, and it will load into Microsoft Excel for me. And there we have all of our information. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to save this into the folder that we're working with. And we'll just call this our data for December 18th. Okay, and I can go ahead and close that up. And I can close my TXT file. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my Microsoft Word document. From here, what I need to do is I need to go over to the mailings ribbon. And on the mailings ribbon, you can see that you have several different options. However, most of them are grayed out, and that's because we have not loaded any data to use in Microsoft Word. So my first step is going to be to come over here to start mail merge, or excuse me, select recipients. And I'm going to tell it that I want to use an existing list. So I'm going to go ahead and select use existing list. I'm going to have to browse back out and find my folder again. And we'll just grab this. Now, when I double click on data December 18th, you'll notice that all of these icons in the different groups, the start mail merge, the write and insert fields, the previous results, and the finish will all light up because I now have data that I can use. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click on data December 18th. It says, okay, which sheet do you want to use? And I'm just going to select sheet 1. And you can see that now most of these icons are available to me. So the next thing I want to show you is underneath the write and insert fields. If I click on the down arrow, oops, hang on. I have to go back and look at something real quick. Let's go back into data. Okay. Let me go ahead and load that again. It did not load correctly, so I'm going to go back to select recipients, use an existing list. I need to browse back out to that folder. And let's go with this. Okay, now we have it loaded. Now you'll see that each one of my columns in Microsoft Excel, donor ID, first name, last name, that should be street rather than column 1, city, state, zip, phone, item donated, item value, category, and number of people attending now is available to me in Microsoft Word. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and place my cursor just to the left of the comma after dear. And I'm going to come up into my insert merge field, and I'm going to put in first name. Now you'll note that it does not put in the actual first name, it puts in the field. And what we're going to do a merge and finish here in just a little bit. I'll show you what that will look like. So I'm going to put in the first name and the last name. So I'm responsible for putting any spaces in. So I'm just going to put in first name and then hit my space bar. I'm going to go to last name. And then item donated, I'm going to go ahead and click just to the right of that. So I'm going to come back up to item donated. And we'll come down here to the item donated field. And then your donation item value and category is another field. And we'll just select category. And then we provided you with blank number of tickets. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the underline, and we will replace that with number attending. Fundraiser, respectfully. Okay, so we have all of this information in here. Now, the next thing that I need to do is I can come up here to merge and finish, and I'm just going to tell it that I want to edit the individual documents. If you want to send it directly to a printer, you most certainly can. However, I like to look at the documents to ensure that they're formatted correctly and that all of the data came in correctly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Edit Individual Documents. It populates this window for me, and I want it to merge all records. Now, when I click on OK, you'll note that the name of this document is Unit 9 Merge Letter. When I click on OK, Microsoft Word is going to open up a brand new document, and it will be called letters 1. So I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. And here's my letters 1. I have my first letter to Paige, donated a movie pass. The category was other, and she has requested 2 tickets. Now, as I scroll down, you'll see that I have all of the different people that donated that I had in my Microsoft Excel database. I'm ready to print my letters. So that's a really easy way of printing off letters by utilizing Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word. And you can do that with anything. As a matter of fact, a lot of times I will do this with emails as well. If I have an email that I want to send out to multiple people, it's a little bit more of a copy and paste, but rather than putting in, dear Marion or dear Stephanie, whatever the case may be, and all of this information by hand, I can have Microsoft Word do a lot of that work for me. So I'm just going to scroll down so you can see all the different letters, and we've got what, about 10, I guess 10 letters. But you can do 10 letters, you can have 100 letters, whatever the case may be. I did want to show you one other item. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to File and grab a blank Word document. And we'll go back over to the Mailings tab. I do need to select my recipients again because I selected a new Word document. So I'm just going to use an existing list. It does always default to the My Data Sources when you do this. So you do have to browse out and find the data that you would like to use. My Excel data, and we're going to use a tab. If you are using this, note that I do have, first name, last name, street, which is column 1, city, state, and zip. I don't need to manually go in and put that in, although you can. I could go first name, space, and then last name, and then enter, and go back to my address, and then city, comma, space, state, space, and zip code. However, you may have noticed that underneath the same group, we have something called the address block, and that will go ahead and bring in the saved items. Now, it's not bringing in my street address simply because on my Excel workbook, it doesn't say street. But if it did, it would go ahead and bring this in. It would give Paige's street address and her city, state, and zip. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on OK. You might be wondering what all these different formats are about. You can get as informal or as formal as you want to in here. So as long as you Lori, I see your question. And if we don't, I'll certainly get with you via email and show you how to do that. So you could be as formal or as informal as you want to by selecting any one of these options. So right now I'm using a letter. You could also print off labels if you want to, whatever the case may be. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on OK. It gives me my address block. Now, when I go to merge and finish and edit individual documents, I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. When I do, letters 2 is going to open up because this is the second mail merge that we've done. So here's letters 2, and it gives me both of the addresses. So this is the address block, and this is the address. Now, you'll also note that there are spaces. The spacing is a little bit off. Before you do an address block, I would strongly encourage you to come up underneath the styles group on the home ribbon and tell Microsoft Word to have no spacing. Your other option is to, let me go ahead and undo that. Your other option is to come to the paragraph group and tell it to remove space after paragraph. think it's a little bit easier to use the styles. So before you do that, you might want to go in and tell it no spacing. Now we only have 10 letters here, so I could very easily select that and tell it no spacing. But if you've got a lot of data, it could take you quite some time to correct that spacing. So note to self, just click on no spacing and then do your mail merge. Okay, so that is our mail merge. Let me go ahead and see what we have next. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to link Excel and PowerPoint graphs. And I'm telling you, folks, this is really a nice feature because it saves you a lot of time. Let me just go ahead and get back to my desktop here. I have Excel data. I have a budget sheet that we're going to use. So we're going to use my budget sheet as an example. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to PowerPoint, and I'm just going to grab a new blank document for this demonstration. We're actually going to insert a graph in here. So I'll go ahead and delete the information, and we'll minimize this just for a second. So what I want to do in Excel is maybe I want to graph this information. So I'm going to go ahead. First of all, I'm going to select my expenses. So my label's over here for my expenses. And in column N, I have those expenses, the yearly total for each one of these. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down the control key, and I'm going to select N8 down to N14. Now you might be saying to yourself, what'd you hold down the control key for? That control key allows you to select non-adjacent items. And that's not only in Excel, but Word and PowerPoint, a lot of different applications. Using that control key will allow you to select non-adjacent items. So I have those two highlighted. I'm going to come over here to Insert, and I'm just going to come over to Charts and go to the recommended charts. And you can see that it says, okay, which one of these would you like to use? I'm just going to go ahead and select a clustered bar. We'll click on OK, and I'm going to move this chart to a new worksheet before we do anything else with it. And now I'm just going to select a different chart style because I want let's see. Well, we'll go ahead and click on that. We'll go to Add Chart Elements, Data Labels, and we're just going to tell it to go inside. There we go, inside. So here's our chart, and we can put up here 2020 budget. Now, what I want to do is, for whatever reason, I'm going to create a PowerPoint presentation. If you want to create a PowerPoint presentation about your budget, I suppose you can. I use this a lot at work because I go in and analyze data, and then I create presentations for various and sundry people that I work with to share that data with them. And the really nice thing is once you have your template set up in Microsoft Excel, then if you want to use it for something else, for instance, sheet 1, if you want to use this for not only 2020, but 2021, you have your template, so to speak, set up. So now when I go to chart and I click, I'm just going to go ahead and select this chart. I'm going to copy that, and I can either do Control C, or I can come over to Home and click on Copy. I'm going to go ahead and bring back up my blank PowerPoint presentation, and we'll just paste this in here. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that if I come back to Microsoft Excel and I make a change. So let's say that maybe our mortgage was $18,768. But let's say in July, we paid off our mortgage. So I didn't have that bill to pay for the remainder of the year. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to delete that. So that moved that number from 18,000 to a little over 9,000. When I come over to chart one, you can see that it automatically updated in chart one. However, the really neat part about this is that it also updated in PowerPoint. So these talk to each other. These two files talk to each other. Now, I would suggest that you save these files in the same folder to ensure that they're talking to one another. But you can, once you have that template set up, like I say, you can go in and make drastic changes. Let's say that maybe cell phones. Let's say that in January, or no, December, it's Christmas. In December, we bought 2 new iPhones. So that increased our bill drastically. So we'll just move that from $136 for the month of December to $2,354. So now my bill is, or my overall yearly spending is $3,850. I go back to chart one, you can see that it jumped out there. And if I go back to my PowerPoint presentation, it also adjusted in my PowerPoint presentation. So Shannon, I see your question. What do you mean by animate charts? The line grows in moving them from left to right. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that you probably just taught me something new. I don't think that I've ever animated a chart in Microsoft Excel, but I'm certainly going to look into that. My answer to that is going to be yes, however, because you'll note that when I brought my chart in, I now have 2 different ribbons. I have chart design and I have format. So any adjustments that I can make to this chart in Microsoft Excel, I can also make that to it in Microsoft PowerPoint. So yeah, thank you. Great question. I appreciate that. So that's just a little bit about charts. So let's see, what do I have next here on the agenda? Oops, wrong one. So looking at Microsoft Access, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to open up a blank Microsoft Access file. So I'm going to go ahead and go to blank database. And this is a question that I get quite a bit, is people that are working in Microsoft Excel and they want to transfer all of their information over to Microsoft Access because it's a true database. You can use Excel as a database, but it doesn't have the power that Access does. So this, people ask me this question quite a bit. Can I convert my files or can I upload them to Microsoft Access? And the answer to that is yes. So if I come over here to external data, I can just tell it that I want to go to a new data source. And I'm going to go from File, and we'll say Excel. It's going to populate this window for me. When I go in and click on Browse, I'm just going to come up to Desktop. And I'm going to go to Working Together. And I've got my Excel data here. I'll go ahead and use that. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. Hang on, let me double check on something here. Yeah, that file is corrupt. Let's see if this one will work. All right, let's try this file. There we go. There's all the information from the folks that donated for our fundraiser. So I'm going to go ahead and select the sheet unit 9 merge data. If I clicked on sheet 1, it doesn't have anything on it. So if you click on these different sheets, it will show you. So I'm going to go ahead and click on next. And do I want the first row that contains the column headings? Absolutely, because those are all my field names. So I'm going to go ahead and click on next. And I do want the donor ID because I'm going to have Microsoft Access determine the primary key for me, and it can use the ID as the primary key. So I'm going to go ahead and click on next and then click on finish. It's funny how all this worked just fine yesterday afternoon. All right, let's take a look at what's going on here. So address doesn't like that name. Go ahead and delete that. Save this. Close that back up. And we'll give this one more shot. Next. I don't want to do that. Okay, and what it did was it inserted a new table for me. So if I click on Unit 9 Merge Data, here is all of the information from that I transferred from a text file to Excel, and then from Excel into Microsoft Access. Same idea. If you want to move this information from Access to Excel, you can do that as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and underneath the export group, I'm going to click on Excel. And I need to tell it where to export this to. So we'll just click on browse, and we'll go ahead and just add it to budget. It's fine. Close. Okay, now let's go back and look at our budget and see if we've got that. And here's all our information that we put in our budget. Now, of course, that deleted all of my other information, but that's all right. I've got plenty of those files. So that's just simply how you move information back and forth and importing and exporting data from with Excel. So let's go in and look at different links within PowerPoint. Okay, so what I have here is just a PowerPoint presentation that I put together for something else. And you have different links that you can put into any one of the Microsoft Access or Microsoft Suite. You can connect any of them. So let's go ahead first. The first thing that I want to show you is maybe coming over here, and let's just create a link to the DoSpace calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up a new window. And go to the due space calendar. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I want this address. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this address. I'm going to go ahead and close this, as you can see. And now I'm going to go to insert. And when I go to insert, there's underneath the links group, I have something called links. And within here, I have a lot of different files that I've recently used. I can link any one of these files to any one of the applications in the Microsoft Office suite, or I can come down here to insert link, and I can tell it that I want the address to go to the due space. So now when I click on OK, if I hover my mouse over it, it says, yep, there's a link there, and this is where it's going to take us. You do need to be in the presentation mode for this to work correctly. So if you're presenting something in PowerPoint and you want to go to someplace in, whoops, come here. If you want to move from PowerPoint to the internet, you can insert a link to do so. So let me go ahead and bring that back up and go ahead and click on that. It's going to open, say it opened on another window, but it will open in whatever website you have in there. So that is a link to a source outside of the Microsoft Office suite. Some other things that you can do is you can link different documents, and we'll look at that here in just a second. But I also wanted to show you today how to link within PowerPoint. So within PowerPoint, you can create links that make PowerPoint be interactive as opposed to linear in nature. So if I were to, and by linear versus branched, if I were to go through my PowerPoint presentation, it would go from slide 1 to slide 2 to slide 3 and so on. However, you can also make this interactive. So if you've ever seen people play Jeopardy on PowerPoint, this is how you would go about doing this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select each one of my different squares here. So I have 6 different links that we're going to create. I'm going to go ahead and go back over to insert. And this time when I go to links and to insert links, you'll note that over here on the left-hand side, I have existing file or web page. Place in this document, create new document, or do you want it to populate an email address for you? So all 4 of those are options, and they're done very easily. We're going to skip down here to the second option, place in this document. And when I do that, you can see it pops up with an outline of my PowerPoint presentation. So my first one is where it all began. So I wanted to go ahead and create a link to that slide. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on OK. And when I do that, you're not going to see anything happen. But now if I go into my PowerPoint presentation, I can click on where it all began, and it will take me directly to that slide. So let's go ahead and link up the rest of these. I'm going to go ahead, go over to growing up, and we'll go back down to insert link, and we'll just click on growing up and OK. And then, oops, I'm going to go ahead and undo that. And insert the link again, growing up. Okay, and then college days. And insert, and we'll create that link. Places of employment. And family. And favorites. My last one. Okay, now when I go into the presentation mode, I have the option to go to any one of these rather than the order that I created the PowerPoint in. So let's say that I want to go, let me go ahead, let's take those off. I've got a timer on here and I want to take those off. Put a mouse click, there we go. Now we don't need to worry about that. Let's go back to our presentation. So now, if rather than going to these linear, if I want to go to them in a branched method, if I want to go to them in a branch method, let's say that maybe I want to look at places of employment. So I can click on that and it will take me directly to that slide. Now you can see that we need to get back to this slide though. So we needed to do one more, we've got one more step that we need to take. And that step is going to be to go to, I'm going to go to insert and I'm going to go to shapes. And I'm just going to grab this arrow. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this arrow and I'm going to go down to where it all began. And I'm just going to draw a quick arrow in here. And I'm going to go ahead and change the shape fill to white so it matches my background, and we've got a little arrow in there. So now we need to go back to insert and to link and to insert link. With this arrow, we're going to take it back to our agenda. So I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. So now when I go to the presentation mode, if I want to go back to my agenda, I can click on the arrow and it will automatically take me back to the agenda. From there, I want that on each one of these slides. However, I don't have to do that 5 more times. I can just go ahead and click on the arrow and copy that. And then we'll go to each one of my slides. And I'm just going to paste that in on each one. Okay, now let's go back up to the agenda. And I'm going to go ahead and go back into the presentation mode. And now when I could click on where it all began, I can look at that and click on back. And then maybe college days. And you can see that it's now interactive as opposed to being linear in nature. So those links are very nice. Like I was saying, if you want somebody to be able to email you, maybe this is a presentation that you're sending out to someone. That's what the beauty is of having the hyperlinks that are already in place. If you want somebody to email you, you can maybe put your email address in down here, and same method. I'll go ahead and highlight that, and when you go to insert link, you can just use the email address and put in your email address. So I can just go ahead and copy this. And when the recipient of the PowerPoint presentation clicks on this, it will automatically populate an email to me. So the easier that you can make it on the person that you're sending this information to, the better off you're going to be. So you have all of these available links that you can take to a website within the document, if you want it to create a new document, or if you want to, let's go ahead and click on OK, or if you want to insert another document in here. So let's just say I'll use college days. And we'll go back to link, and maybe I'll just grab this presentation that I did on the glass ceiling, February of 20. I don't think that's an updated one, but now I have created the ability for Microsoft PowerPoint to open another file. So when I click on this, it will open another presentation for me. It's loading up over here. Oh, okay. So let's just go ahead. Let me look at another example here. Let's just go ahead and highlight college days and maybe insert a new link and create a new document. Greetings, Dean. Okay. So there's all kinds of different links in here that you can select from. From within. So let me go ahead and go back to so Lori, I'm going to go back to your question. Let me go ahead and grab my Outlook. Now, when you asked that question, Lori, I'm assuming that you were talking about from my mail merge. Is that correct? Okay. So with the mail merge, this is the way that I usually do this. So let me go ahead and go back into my budget. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to add a column over here for email address. Oops. Okay, so I'm just going to add that one email address for sake of time. And we'll go ahead and save that. And now I'm going to go ahead and close that back up. And I'm going to go to another new blank document, or new Word document. Oh, there it is. Actually, I don't want this. I want the mail merge letter. Hmm. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and close that and not save it. Now I'm going to go back to it again. And there it is. Okay, so let's say, for instance, that you wanted to email this to someone as opposed to snail mailing it. So what I personally would do would be to just put some spaces in here, and maybe at the very top, I'm going to go back over to insert, or to mailings, I mean, excuse me, and I'm going to go ahead and grab that recipient list. Okay, now at the very top, I'm going to put in the email address. And then I can go through and I can put in all of my other information. So the item donated and the category and the tickets. Okay, and then I can go ahead and bring this up. So what I personally have done in the past is now I've got all this information. Maybe I'll just split my screen here for you to see both of these. So here's my letter, and here's my Outlook account. Yeah, Shannon, I'm just looking at your question. Hold tight. We certainly can do that. So now what I would do is I would just go ahead and create a new email. And note that all of my letters are here. I only put in one email address. So what I would do is just do a quick copy. And then copy the rest of it and paste it in. It may seem like it's time consuming, but it's really not. Yeah, I can whip through 50 or 60 of those in no time at all. It's just so much faster than trying to do it by hand. And then just go ahead and click on send. A lot of times what I'll do too in my Excel is I'll have the subject so that I don't have to type in the subject, 40 or 50 times. And maybe I'll just have the topic be a field as well, so that I can just do a quick copy and paste, or maybe I can just use fundraising corporation as my topic. And I'm good to go, and just click on send, and away it goes. So that's how I have used the mail merge in the past, using email as opposed to snail mail. So I'm just getting how you link your Excel. So Shannon, when you say how I linked the Excel document to the Word document so the columns were available there, is my end result in Microsoft Word or in Excel? How were you able to? Oh, I see what you're asking. Okay. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So let me go ahead and just not save that. So now I've kind of got these files are a little bit mixed up because everything we've been playing around with. But in the file called budget is where I have all of the information from, the number of tickets, first name, last name, and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my merge letter. And I'm going to come over to mailings, and then I'm going to go to start mail merge, or no, not start mail merge, excuse me, select recipients and use an existing list. And then I'm going to browse out and I'm going to find my file that I want to use. And when I double click on budget, it says, okay, which sheet do you want to use? So if I have more than one worksheet within the workbook, it will show me all of them. So that's something that you want to be cognizant of. This one only has one worksheet, so we're safe. I'm just going to go ahead and click on OK. And now it loaded all of those fields into Microsoft Word so that I can import them. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right. Any other questions, folks? I don't see anybody typing. I just wanted to share with you one more time my email address. So if you do think of any questions, and Shannon, I'm going to look into that. Actually, if you would email me and tell me a little bit more about what your question was, I'd be happy to email you back about the animation part of it. I think that's who asked me that. Yeah, Shannon did. So here's my email address at the very bottom. Could you do a recap of the steps? Sure, no problem, William. I believe it is. It is being recorded, and I think it goes to the Do Space YouTube channel. I know we've had that question before, so I should know the answer.
Hi, everyone. This is Kim with Do Space. Yes, all of our webinars are recorded, and they will be put up on our Do Space YouTube channel probably sometime next week if you would like to rewatch it. And they're all, you can see several other of Julie's Microsoft webinars on our YouTube channel as well.
Great, thanks, Kim. So going back to your question, William, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and open up my Microsoft Word template. And then I'm going to come over to mailings. I'm going to go to select recipients and use an existing list. Then I'm going to browse out to the folder for today's webinar. And I'm going to select, again, I can use the TXT file, or I'll go ahead and use the TXT file. You'll see that it's the same. And then I have all of my fields here so that I can insert the fields into my Microsoft Word document. Item donated, and the category, and the number attending. And then once I've got that set up, I'm going to come over here to finish and finish and merge. And you can go straight to print documents, or I'm going to go ahead and edit, and it will show me each one of my letters. All right, any other questions, folks? Okay, well, I don't see anything else. Again, if you have questions, you have my email address. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. We start up again on January 8th. It will be the next Lunch and Learn. I believe it's January 8th. So thank you so much for spending a little bit of your Friday afternoon with me. I really appreciate it. Happy holidays. Stay safe and stay healthy, and we'll see you in 2021.